hello. So we are in, actually, really, this is perhaps the deepest wisdom that has ever been revealed. You see, there's a very fascinating concept. The Rebbe would speak about this. I shouldn't say, well, yeah, speak about it, and it's been written down in his talks. And it actually seems very bizarre to our minds, but it's a very profound concept. And the concept is that there are different stages of reality. So obviously, the way a child sees reality is not the same way as an adult. And the way an adult sees reality is not the same way, say, as a great scientist. The way a great scientist sees the reality is not the way a great saint or a clairvoyant would see reality. And the way a clairvoyant sees reality is nothing compared to the way God, the creator of all, sees reality. So in other words, there are different perspectives. Everybody's in the same world, and yet they're in different worlds entirely. So now that we got that out of the way, there are basically three types of reality. The first reality is obviously nature. We all see the natural world. The second reality is the supernatural. And people that are, I don't know if religious is the word, but perhaps more spiritual, certainly evangelical movement's very into it, but anybody that has a belief in a supernatural God would have a tendency to want supernatural. But there's a belief in miracles. And so there's this kind of, it's a beautiful thing because it gives you a lot of hope, but ultimately it's not the truth. Not to say miracles don't occur, miracles do occur. But if we look at it objectively, 99.99% of much of reality is not miraculous. If it was, we wouldn't have a reality. If it was just miracles, we wouldn't know what to expect. So most of reality is what we would call natural. Not to say the natural itself isn't, which is the truth, consistent miracles, but consistent miracles are what is nature. And so there's the natural reality, there's the supernatural reality. But then there's another dimension, which includes both of these dimensions. It includes everything that ever has, is, and was. But most importantly, this dimension is accessible, and it changes everything. And I don't want to make this a long lecture, but just to keep it very short, this dimension is the infinite dimension. Now, most of us have zero understanding of what infinity is. If I said to you, what is infinite? So you say, well, numbers are infinite. Certain things can go on infinitely, but that's not what true infinity is. That is something that's finite that you're multiplying infinitely. Something that's infinite doesn't need to be multiplied. It has infinite potential. It can be infinitely multiplied, infinitely subtract. There's no limit. True infinity is lack of limitation. Even the lack of limitation, whatever kind of limitation you can imagine, doesn't exist. So it can have, like quantum physics say, the same item can be here and not here at the same time. There's just no limitation. Anything is possible. And once you get to that understanding, you begin to realize that we live in a world of options. Anything is possible. Primarily, anything is possible based on the possibilities, like a program, a computer, almost anything is possible. But if you're inside the program, anything is possible based on the possibilities that the program will allow. And so therefore, we are limited, infinite beings. Now, science and quantum physics tells us that our consciousness affects reality. One thing is for sure, our consciousness affects our internal reality. If you want to feel good, think good. You want to feel bad, think bad. It's really quite simple. Now, it's not always that simple because sometimes our fear factor overtakes us. But there's no question about it that what you're thinking about is influencing your feelings. So, within a very interesting range of limitation, but enough to create the possibilities to make your life joyous, which really, to a large extent, is about being positive, having faith in God, love, make those your goals, you will have an infinitely joyous and manifest for others such a life.